Hello, everybody, and welcome to Off the Rack. I am Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
Off the Rack, of course, is the premiere show here on ComicPop Returns. And if you are not subscribed, you should be. So make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications, and then go into your notification settings to make sure that you actually get notified when we go live, which is Monday nights around 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, of course, where we talk about the latest and greatest in comic book news and reviews from the ComicPop family. I am your host, Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
Did we do that already?
Yeah, we did.
Well, it bears repeating. It's important to make sure people know.
Support you, and so I said it again.
You know, rather than being called the fat one or the girl, I think people need to know our names. It's important to set that up at the top of the show. Listen. Even though I was watching apparently some influencers complaining about how in today's ingestion of digital media, people are like, you don't need the intros anymore. Just tell me the info. Just give me the information. And I'm like, yeah, that's TikTok. That's like, I'm swiping. Yeah. I need the info. It is utterly disposable. Not like this show.
They're like, I want something totally for free.
Yeah, I need you. Well, I mean, the reality is,
they don't want to know you.
They don't want to know, but because then they want to feel bad about having used you for information, and then parlay that into their own kind of show or whatever grift that they're working on. Of course, it's all a joke.
Please cite your sources.
Yes, exactly. Cite your sources. That's right. But there's tons of comics to talk about. I'm not going to get too deep in the weeds about them because I know you have a bunch of books that you need to talk about. But we also talk about the news. Before we get into all that, I want to mention two things. The first of which is that we, at the end of our review session, pick out a book of the week. We decide which one is the standout book, premiere book that we loved out of the smattering of books that came out the past week. Give them some exaltation. So that's going to be the happening. We also have, of course, our sponsors, which, of course, are limited to you, the viewers at home, people who are watching the show live. You are essentially ComicPop's Wednesday Warriors, but on Monday. So we're better. But the term Wednesday Warrior is people who go to the comic shops every Wednesday and pick up their books. Right. Well, we got Monday Warriors here on ComicPop Returns, people who watch this show live and come here and use Super Chats to sponsor today's show and make sure that money goes into the infrastructure that allows everything to maintain. This show has been running for almost 11 years, and in its incarnation, at least 5. And if we want to keep that going, we need that.
Right.
Not only that, but also if you don't like that, if you're like, I don't want to give YouTube, Google my money, no problem. Patreon.com/ComicPop. Swing by there. You can get early access to back issues when I can edit them. I'm doing a lot of stuff right now. But you get behind the scenes information about what's going on at ComicPop. What's the matter?
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to skip ahead here to the comics that we're supposed to be talking about this week. You have to tell your co-host when Amazing Spider-Man comes out, because she doesn't normally read it.
No. Oh, that's right, because it's Joe Kelly. I see. I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of Doc in that one, but he doesn't do much.
Oh.
He's mostly look, Doctor Strange, now that his book is canceled, is essentially a supporting character in a Spider-Man book. So, it's actually not too dissimilar from his movie counterpart.
This is my frown.
Well, we'll talk about Spider-Man. I'll get into it because I am reading it because it is Joe Kelly.
I was also reading it, but I'm not used to reading it.
No, I'll remind you next time.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I want to thank our sponsors for today's show. That's you guys, Monday Warriors, for helping us out. And, of course, for those of you on patreon.com/ComicPop, we do appreciate it. Thank you. So, yeah, in the news, it's actually a little bit of controversy. Not controversy, but celebration. And that's I want to focus on the positives about this, which is that supposedly Absolute Batman #1 has sold over 400,000 copies, which, again, to remind our folks at home, when Gen 13 #2 came out, that is only 650,000 fewer copies than Gen 13 #2 sold. So just a reminder about the people out there that could be reading comic books but aren't 35 years removed. But 400,000 copies, very respectable number. In fact, it's worth celebrations. Fantastic number. Now, as I recall, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sold over 300,000 copies months ago. But hey, that's great, And supposedly, according to news sources, I'll cite my sources, Bleeding Cool, suggested this. But of course, Marvel will never cooperate because Marvel doesn't share the numbers. They don't want to get into a habit or continuity of sharing the numbers. But supposedly, Ultimate Spider-Man sold 450,000 copies.
Oh.
#1.
That's convenient.
So maybe Ultimate Spider-Man actually outsold Absolute Batman. #1, we'll never get that confirmed.
No.
#2, that's a little reminder out there of folks at home, how many people actually do read comic books.
Well,
and how that did not disrupt anyone's finances. Everybody picked up Ultimate Spider-Man. Everybody picked up Ultimate Absolute Batman. Most people picked up Ninja Turtles. We're talking huge numbers in the 2020s for comic book sales.
That's funny that that's your message here. I'm like, wait a minute. So supposedly, because they won't tell us.
Right, reportedly. Or no, allegedly.
Allegedly, Marvel or
DC
Ultimate,
will tell you.
Yeah.
Absolute Batman 400,000.
Ultimate Spider-Man.
IDW will tell you. TMNT number 1 300,000.
Right. 300 or 450,000. Ultimate Spider-Man number 1. And yet, Marvel's like, keep Peter Parker.
I know.
Away from Mary Jane
Amazing
Watson.
Spider-Man wishes those were their numbers, but that is a number 1. And it doesn't actually factor into how the book is selling. Month to month.
I know. But I could imagine it being like, no, we're definitely not telling you those numbers.
Oh no,
we're not giving you that image.
I mean, we get a little bit, and thanks to websites like ICV2 and stuff like that. But like, unfortunately, now that actually one of the casualties of Diamond not distributing most of these books anymore is that you don't get those numbers anymore, and so you're really counting on like metrics reported from comic shops alone, because Marvel and DC are not going to share the numbers unless they sell over 400,000 copies. By the way, it's funny because I remember when Spawn Batman 3 came out, and there was a rumor circulating about how many pre-orders there were for SB2 or 3, I should say, SB3.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, man, that's a great number. Like, that's a good number for Spawn Batman 3. And it's lower. It's higher than Absolute Batman.
Oh. And
when I heard the original numbers of Absolute Batman, I think it was 300,000.
Oh.
People were like, that's unprecedented. And I'm like, what are you talking about? When he teams up with Spawn, you get like 500,000 copies. And they're like, yeah, but that's the extenuating circumstances. And I'm like, are there? I mean, like, it's Spawn. It's not like...
Maybe what that's saying is that there is the reason that Gen 13 sold so well is because those readers are looking for Spawn and Gen 13 and things like that. And without that, they don't want anything to do with the rest of mainstream comics.
I mean, it could be a number of things. It could be speculators. It could be collectors. It could be variant covers. I mean, all those factors do make a dent. But, not to the tune of 200,000 copies. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's just a good indication of like how things are going. And I think at the end of the day, the real lesson to be learned from all of this is that, number one, we should be reaching farther and higher as an industry. And when I say we, I mean you, because I'm really on the fringe. But like, comic book industry should be pushing harder to reaching farther. Like, for example, the Thanksgiving holiday has now passed.
Yes.
Thank you, Tiffany, for your Herculean and titanic efforts to maintain not one, but 2 Thanksgiving dinners one day removed while also having company. It's incredible, worth, exaltation. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But also, while we were enjoying you cooking and me not,
you were helping.
I helped, but I really ruined it. But like, so we were watching the Macy's Day Parade as we always do. Spider-Man balloon, new Spider-Man balloon.
Yeah.
Released using John Romita Sr. art as its influence. Number 1, gorgeous balloon. Especially compared to previous years. There's been 3, I think, Spider-Man balloons in the Macy's Day Parade since 87. I know because, not that I saw it in 87, but certainly I've been paying attention to Spider-Man balloons for as long as I've been alive. And I love that stuff. But yeah, and it's always so exciting to see it like cross over into the mainstream and like force people like Al Roker to go like Spider-Man, or when he refers to Goku as a Super Saiyan. Makes me laugh every time.
I think he's doing it on purpose now.
He might be. I mean, there's no way someone isn't correcting Roker.
Knows. I think he's educated.
The Super Saiyan himself. But the point being, when that balloon crossed into the screen for Spider-Man in this year's Macy's Day Parade, they got to cite John Romita Sr.
Yeah.
There was a Ninja Turtles float.
Yeah.
This year. Wouldn't it have been really cool if 1 or 2 of those talking head puppet people, not talking about the Turtles, the people who commentate on the parade, had said something like, the number 1 selling comic book, you know what I mean? Like, now on sale from IDW itself.
I don't think they're there to do
No, promotions?
That, yeah.
The Macy's Day balloons are all promotions. That's all advertising.
Yeah, but
there is a dinosaur, which we love, that is literally a fossil fuel company.
I know, but like it's not like they're there to talk about the balloon. The balloon
Yeah.
is the advertising. I don't think that they themselves in their banter advertise.
I guarantee you there's some kind of like a copy that is provided by every company.
Yeah.
They're like, you need to include these bullet points. Like, weave these bullet points in. Like, for example, there's no way that any of those three people knew that John Romita Sr. worked on that, design for that balloon.
Well, no, but like that's because he's like, it's like they often do the design by. No, they're given that information.
But he didn't design. I mean, he didn't like work on it. He's dead.
I know.
But it's just it's something where I'm like, oh man, wouldn't it have been really cool?
But I don't think that's how the parade works.
I say that only because I would like to see farther reaches from the industry.
Sure.
And I've been beating this drum forever, ever since Batman Damned.
Yeah.
When Jim Lee didn't go on like Seth Meyers or Stephen Colbert and promote Batman Damned,
Mhm.
and instead just capitulated to the publisher pulping those copies,
Right.
and just retreating further and further into itself, rather than celebrate the thing that they were there to celebrate in the first place. I'm not salty about it at all.
I guess what they really need to do is, I mean, like we'll see what happens with like screen time and all that for
Mhm.
kids.
Mm-hmm.
But like Marvel and DC or others, need to come
At
up
all.
with like a kids app.
Yeah.
Version of it.
Oh.
Where you like it's like specifically for ages, I don't know, reading ages.
Yeah.
To whatever.
Like a
and
DC Kids app or
Yeah.
a Marvel Kids app
Yeah,
that
yeah,
gets
yeah.
you comic books.
Yeah, and it's just like specific books that are really focused on like towards kids. They already have them.
Yeah.
It's just a library they can pull up and read through it. And
Yeah.
you know that it's safe.
Yeah. No, I agree. But you can count on it. You can set your watch to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. In fact, DC Universe Infinite has finally been the first one to throw its hat over the wall. The DC Infinite Universe app or whatever, DC Universe Infinite app,
Yeah.
is finally available in Europe and Latin America. You can finally get your DC comic digital subscriptions from the app.
Yeah.
In Europe and Latin America.
Right. Well, I don't know what goes into that. I don't know what.
I know there's rights issues.
There's rights and
there's got to be.
legal
It can't just be
no
negligence. It has to be lawyers.
Yes.
But pretty good. Finally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, that was apropos of that point.
Absolutely.
But that was exciting news. But anyway, let's get into the comic books.
Let's do just that.
I read Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #4 from Jason Aaron with the final artist as part of the first 4 issues. Each issue focused on a turtle, setting up the new status quo, written by Jason Aaron, but with a different, awesome artist working on it. This time with Chris Burnham focusing on Donatello, which I can go on record and saying is my favorite turtle.
Everybody has the right to be wrong.
Yeah.
No, if you're wrong about your favorite.
No, you can't. But this one is this one really kind of, I think, crystallizes what the direction of the line might be. I don't actually know. But the last 3 were focusing on each of the turtles, where they were, what they're up to, and how they're roped into the conflict with this resurrected Foot Clan that's attacking them and forcing them kind of to get back together, despite some kind of fallout happening that causes them all to split up a couple of years ago.
Right.
And so here we are with Donatello. He was making his way back to New York after an absence, and he falls into captivity in an effort to while trying to spring a couple of other mutants themselves in captivity, and he's forced into kind of like a redneck Deep South fighting scam where people are brought in, they pay a couple of grand, and then they get to fight any of these poor slave mutants, and Donatello kind of takes it upon himself to be kind of trying to manipulate things so that I'm the one that they fight, so that no other mutants can be hurt.
Right.
Because I actually have training and stuff, even though Burnham really draws Donatello as kind of emaciated and skinny and just really, it's a very gritty kind of issue. Anyway, because reincarnation is kind of at the core of this universe because it's still carrying over from the IDW run from years ago. Donatello believes that Splinter, now past, is reincarnated in the form of a regular rat that he runs into. That rat dies, and he's carrying it around like a dead puppet. And it's really sad. Donatello shows his strength, but also, and I don't know. It's weird. I get the impression that Jason Aaron loves Donatello, but also that like nobody knows what to do with him. Like, for example, years ago, Donatello's shell was smashed by Bebop and Rocksteady.
Mhm.
And so ever since then, he's had a robot or metallic shell. So he's always been different. Like, he's the one where they're like, who got to change? Oh, Donatello, definitely. Give him glasses and like a weird gap between his teeth and destroy his shell and make him crazy and have him carry around a dead rat and be like, Splinter's back, guys. That seems to be, at least as far as I'm concerned, like the kind of emotional core of what this series is going to be, because Michelangelo, Leonardo, and Raphael were all kind of doing fine in their separate lives, and Donatello was the one who was kind of lost and broken.
Right.
And now he's crazy. And the turtles themselves, they all come together to kind of rescue Donatello, who's already capably freed himself from captivity at the exact same time, and fights a whole bunch of Foot Clan soldiers in the process. But there's this sequence of the four of them where like the three of them are over here and Donnie's over here, and he just looks nuts. He's got the crazy eyes, got the dead rat, and he's like, Splinter's back, and we're gonna be okay. And they're like, oh. So it seems like, the three of them are going to go like, well, we need to be a family because, Donatello needs the support. And I'm like, cool. But also I'm like, okay. Like, I guess that's interesting. It's just kind of like weird. Like, it's weird, but also it's earned and tragic and dark. Like the last three were kind of like, oh, look at Michelangelo. He's a hit in Japan. Haha. And then you get to Donatello's issue. You're like, oh, right. Jason Aaron. It's going to be dark.
But isn't Michelangelo miserable?
Yeah. I mean, they all are.
Right.
Well, they are Jason Aaron characters.
I know.
So they are all deeply unhappy. But like, this isn't a Tom King book or anything. It's not,
right.
They need April. She needs to show them the way. But and they all have to be related to Iraq in some way. But it's good. It's good. But it was like, ooh, I was like, oh, this is kind of dark.
Okay. Fair.
But interesting. I dug it.
That's fair.
So yeah. That was something I read. What about you?
I don't know even where to start. Let's go with me opening up my Comixology app and making that happen for myself. Oh, sure. Here we go. Let's talk about Dazzler.
Oh, with her Dazzle powers?
Yeah, I read Dazzler number 3 of 4 by Jason Liu with art by... He's getting to the front.
Yeah.
I don't want to use the slider, but that's fine. Whoop, there was. With art by Rafael Loureiro.
Sure.
Did I say that right? I don't know. This continues the downward spiral of Dazzler, now joined by Lila Cheney.
Right.
And she was going on this concert tour throughout the world where human and mutant fans alike were gonna come and see her, and like a lot of humans were like, it seems like, well, these ones who wanted to report on this or make it news was like, listen, it seems like you're putting your mutant fans ahead of everyone else. Someone is clearly in the background trying to use Dazzler to make a point or to just ruin her specifically. It's yet to be seen. But in the last issue, a lower level telepath took over her mind and influenced her to basically attack her bandmates and the audience at one of her concerts, which now we see the fallout from that in a modern age where all these people are on social media and they're I'm not I was Dazzler number one fan. They're crying and taking the Dazzler makeup off and I should have known better than to have followed her, and there's some guy burning her records in his front yard, being I have to protect my daughter from this. God. And I'm this is all very the world that we live in. So they have a ship that's a remnant of Krakoa.
Oh, cool.
So that's where they are right now. They're trying to remain safe. But Lila's you shouldn't have to worry about that. Obviously, you've got some free time now. Most places have banned her from going. She can't have any of her concerts, but she's supposed to have one in Tokyo. And Lila's why don't we just go and hang out in Tokyo for the day and enjoy ourselves? Domino's that's a horrible idea. You're not going to do that. Lila convinces her that oh, actually, I'm going to take her to this place that I have that'll keep her safe and it's totally fine. And off they go. she just takes her to Tokyo and they have a great day of it, right? And that's when Arcade shows up because like the guy in the background of all this is not Arcade.
No.
But that person is paying a lot of money.
Arcade seems to have been a real facilitator of a lot of these stories over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Like, people have been like, oh yeah, Arcade.
Yeah, Arcade. In this instance, he's like, I'm happy to ruin your day and get paid for it. So let's go. And so he creates a situation where like she tries really, really hard to make sure that no one else gets hurt and like does her best, but there's collateral damage to buildings and all that stuff. And inevitably she is saved by Domino and others, but you know, Japan as a whole is not thrilled. And she's banned. So she can't
from Japan.
That. Yeah, so well, from there as well.
She's like, Japanned?
Sort of... Okay. So, you know, she's pretty like depressed about this. Can't have her tour anymore. And Lila's like, wait, I got one more idea because this is kind of my fault. I'm like, kind of? It's like entirely your fault. Yeah. And she holds a concert in Madripoor. Because Madripoor's like, oh,
right, we don't care. It's a lawless place.
Yeah, go for it. So she performs a concert there, and then like the next stop is meant to be New York. But like, obviously, the next issue is the last issue,
right?
So hopefully, we'll get to see who is behind all of this. We had like a Domino pulled up a whole bunch of people. It's like these could be any of the people who want to get you,
right?
Including Dr. Doom, which I was like, well,
probably not.
Probably not, especially not right now, because he's just Dr. Doom, ruler of Latveria. And I'm like, don't you mean Dr. Doom, Sorcerer Supreme?
Yeah, but this book was probably written and drawn.
I know. So it's just funny because I'm like, well, it's definitely not him. So I'm looking forward to seeing who is the cause of all of Dazzler's issues and see what their actual reasoning for doing this is. It struck me as just a blow against mutantdom as a whole, but like now I'm like, is it just like a direct attack on Dazzler? I don't know.
I mean, sure, it's personal.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out. It's cute. It's fun. You know, it's like it's 4 issues.
It was an easy investment.
Very easy investment.
Yeah,
for me.
That's fair. Well, I read. Let's see here. I read quite a bit of things, but I read Black Canary, Best of the Best, #1 from Tom King and Ryan Sook. If you are a avid viewer of this channel, then you know about this book long before it came out, because Tom King came on this channel and is often want to do that on occasion to hype this book up and talk about it and set up the fact that like Ryan Sook is a very sought after artist who routinely can't, because he's an excellent artist, but he can't be on a regular series for too long.
Right.
But he really wanted to be on this one. So they set it up a long time ago. And so every issue is going to be drawn by Ryan Sook. It's going to be a consistently...
Oh, they did it to the artist's schedule.
Exactly. They worked around his
they
schedule.
Did the thing I said where it's like, if it's not a monthly book that like has to have an ongoing run constantly going, and it's just a book that needs to be released, that you should have a section of issues ready to go. Weird.
Yeah. Except also because they did that, now the book can be monthly.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like,
yes,
it's not like you're interrupting Spider-Man's run.
No,
to hold off until the artist is ready.
Exactly. But it's a gorgeous book. Sook's art is fantastic. There's a couple of awesome displays of not just Black Canary or Lady Shiva, her adversary in the story, battling, but also the full-on Justice League in their civilian outfits, all hanging out, watching the fight. The idea being that, like, Black Canary set up this kind of like big tournament around the world because King heard that like Lady Shiva was the greatest fighter in the world, but like second or third in the world was Black Canary. He's like, what? And so he investigated that a little further. Black Canary, of course, is sad because her mom has brain cancer and she's dying. And so Black Canary has another reason to do this battle, not just because she wants to prove that she's the best of the best, but rather because the whole thing is, kind of rigged to work towards the aid of a villain who promises to save her mom.
Oh, that's not going to happen.
No, it's not. No, but so it's great. But it's
can't be a
but it's going to be, but it is. But it's really fun to see. There's some fantastic action sequences. While the book is essentially a boxer or like an MMA kind of book. Or rather, the ring itself is set up like that. The announcers and the whole damn thing is like broadcast across like the multiverse or something.
Sure.
But it's set up and inspired by professional wrestling. And so the commentary is very inspired by that kind of idea. And it was really engaging. The writing is solid and it's really fun and interesting. And I could see where it's going because I'm I'm like a student of the Tom King art at this point. But it was still a really great story, and it was and it's a great opportunity to kind of like reintroduce Black Canary, even though Black Canary really needs no reintroduction.
Right.
But it is nice to have Black Canary have like a real cool self-contained original graphic novel that is contemporary and possibly might be a good TV show or movie or something. Who knows? I'm not suggesting that's the plan, but it could be. But it's good. It's really, really good. And I think if you have not read it, you should check it out. The first issue will tell you whether you want to read more or not. But all the things are on display. I mean, it's a mom and a daughter and they're superhero. There's there's a lot of Silk Spectre in here, but of course, Black Canary I think inspired Silk Spectre. Right. So there's a lot of like concentric inspiration.
Sure.
But there's that. There's chicanery. It's cool. It's fun. But I'm down.
Okay.
I'll read the rest. It'll be an easy investment for me as well.
Love it.
What about you?
Let's talk really quickly about the Tin Can Society. Number 3 came out this week. This is written by I believe Peter Warren with art. Well, story is by Peter Warren and Rick Remender, which is why I always think this is by Rick Remender.
Yes.
It's because the story concept was come up by the two of them.
Interesting.
Peter Warren's the writer on it. The artist is Francesco Mobili. We're in a really interesting time right now where I'm reading 2 not big 2 books about like heroes, right?
Yeah.
In like a more realistic world. One from Kieran Gillen called Power Fantasy, and this one by Warren and Mobili, Tin Can Society. Both very different takes on it, right? Like Power Fantasy is like there are super powered people, and this is a super smart guy a la Batman, Tony Stark, who puts on armor, who had a hard time walking and goes out there to fight crime. Right. This book is, if you did not a fan of Power Fantasy, but you liked the idea of maybe reading about heroes that are not
your usual fare, but kind of like inspired by it.
This is much more. It's interesting. They're both examining like heroes in a real world scenario. This book feels very human, like in a good way. Yeah. Like I like these characters because they're flawed, so I don't like them necessarily. You know, like we're dealing with the death of like this hero and going back and learning about his history with these friends that he's made, known as the Tin Can Society. Right. So it's like kind of Stephen Kingian in a way, the way the story is being told. We're not really flashing back too often to them as kids, but like seeing them throughout the years. Sure. Right. But like, as you're learning about them, like I don't trust some of them, but I'm like, that is what makes them so human to me. It's because like I don't know them well enough, and they make me feel like I should. At this point, right? Like I'm just like I really need to get to know you before I decide whether or not I believe any of you. Because right now the friends are all like kind of looking at each other like maybe it was you, like oh maybe you didn't have reasons, and like our main character, she had a relationship with their one friend, but they kept it a secret, and we get to learn about that in here, and like how it was like, he'd go out and like save the world, and then we'd like sleep together. And the first night that we just slept, and like she's like, actually I didn't really sleep all that much, but he did, and she's like, it's really sweet because it's like as soon as he puts his head on her chest, like he falls asleep, like it's like being in like a puppy pile. But they keep it like a secret because they don't want it to be weird among their friends. They're like, well, that will like ruin it or what? I don't know. But like, she's also like, there's also like this element of like, it's exciting. Because they're hiding it. Right. But we find by the end of it that like, she knows more than she's telling because there's like, they're trying to figure out like, oh, does they have a rogues gallery? And like one of their friends is like, are you an idiot? Like, no, there was no like costumed characters. Oh my God, wait, there's like a very specific panel that takes like a big swing at Batman, essentially.
He could take it.
He could take it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure out of everyone, every hero, Batman could take it. Yeah, we didn't have a list of colorful villains who sat around plotting ways to take over every city every time they escaped the minimum security asylum. I'm like,
well, that's pretty specific.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool.
But that she knows that like secretly one night he did something he shouldn't have, and he probably took it too far.
And
like he comes home with like blood on his hands.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, like now like we're getting to see like what he was. I just like it. I like the way this is put together. I like the fact that there's a mystery. I like the fact that we're learning about these characters. And again, like, you know what always drew me to Batman wasn't the fact that like he was super prepared. He was a guy.
Yeah.
He was a guy at like his peak with like billions of dollars and like crazy training, but he was just a guy. Right. And like he was human. And like that's what this kind of reminds me of. But of course, it's like because it's not in Marvel or DC, we don't have to worry too much about them like
maintaining continuity
or like you know selling, you know, their status or their who they are, or ruining their character, like having a character assassination. They just get to be flawed and messed up and then go home.
Yeah,
or not. So I like it. I like Tin Can Society a lot. It's like I said, it's a little darker, and grittier. Well. Yeah, it's just grittier than Power Fantasy.
Oh, sure.
It's a great book.
Good. I read West Coast Avengers #1 from Jerry Duggan and Danny Kim.
Yeah, I was wondering if you did.
Yeah, I checked it out. You know, Tony Stark is looking to kind of like get over the Emma Frost relationship and get back to his roots and run a California-based Avengers team. He calls a bunch of people, including Ultron, who is trying to turn over a new leaf, supposedly. He invites Spider-Woman. She's kind of like, and then kind of more or less says, I might be on the team. Once in a while, we'll see. Probably not, though. And there's a kind of like attempt at redemption. The whole thing is kind of like this like work release program. Like there's another character on here who is, you know, a reformed villain. And so they're trying to kind of like rehabilitate him. There's an opportunity here where, you know, there's a whole other book called Iron Man where the suits aren't working. And Duggan barely connects to that, but also is like, when he's in this book, he'll be wearing a different armor from the one that's set up in Iron Man, the series.
So we have Iron Man, we have Ultron, and we have, who's at the top? Is that, it looks like War Machine.
Yeah, it's War Machine. Yeah, Rhodes is in it.
So we have Iron Man, War Machine, and Ultron.
Yeah.
The three, like, metal, science-y. Okay.
Yeah. Eventually they ask Firestar to join the team.
Okay.
And she's kind of like, you know, because of the Krakoa stuff, she's miserable and she's hanging out in the bar with no name with a bunch of criminals. And so she's like, I guess I'll join. And so, you know, that's going to be part of it.
Okay.
Duggan remembers because he wrote it.
Right.
And you know, you're thinking like, oh man, Ultron trying to turn over a new leaf. Yeah, there's another Ultron and he's a monster. Or it's the same Ultron. I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's not especially as direct as all that. But yeah, there's another Ultron who's like, maybe he's misinterpreted the mission. He's like, there's a woman who's dying of a terminal illness, and she seems to be kind of like, I'm just gonna go for a walk before I die, goodbye, or rather, I'm gonna go out before I die. And so she wheels out. But it turns out she's going to meet with Ultron, who destroys her body but keeps her head and sticks in an Ultron body, and now she's part of like his whole scheme, which includes like thousands of other people who had similar situations. It's just, I won't be reading any more of this book. It's weird. The West Coast Avengers title is kind of like mired in its own kind of like inadequacies. Like, you know, the West Coast Avengers book was very specific and very like in other books' shadows. I mean, there was a period, and I believe it was when Force Works, or worked rather, because it never really did. But when Force Works was established, it was because the Avengers kind of like screwed up as the West Coast Avengers, and Cap has to like meet with them, and he's like, hey, yeah, it's over. We're just going to fold in a couple of you guys in the main Avengers, and like this Avengers West Coast thing is not working.
Right.
And so they're like, well, screw you, we all quit, and then we're going to join Force Works. This is, you know, it's just not going to work. I believe Kelly Thompson also tried to relaunch West Coast Avengers, and it was just a different kind of book, and people were not receptive to this title, and I don't see this book lasting. I myself found it. I was like, well, I'm investing in reading this one issue, and it was a little weak. The art was good. The art was fine. It was standard superhero fare, nothing to write home about. It wasn't trying to do anything new or inventive, but it still serviced the story well, and it wasn't in any way out of the ordinary or out of left field. But you know, overall, not a strong showing for West Coast Avengers.
All right. I was going to read it.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
And then I just didn't.
Yeah, and you don't really have to. It's not changing anything.
Okay, that's fair.
It doesn't. Not everything has to, but you know, it ain't what I'm looking for.
Right. Very fair. Very fair. All right. This week I read in the Marvel side of things. I also read Ultimate Black Panther number 10, written by Brian Hill with art by Carlos Nito. This book is like one of those where it's just like, hey,
anybody else reading this book? Like that's you being like, hey, anybody else want to talk about Ultimate Black Panther because it's so good?
I think people are reading it. I just think that like Ultimate Spider-Man overshadows it at times. But it shouldn't, because it's very like competently written, consistent book that's examining, a different side of Wakanda and Khonshu, and you know what I mean. Like it's interesting. I think it's neat. And not being super familiar with, Black Panther's other mainstream books.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, I'm trying to get glean some information of what things might normally be like in one of their books. Anyway, we start this book where it's like, you're watching Black Panther, chase down the human emissary for Khonshu, and then he kills him, and this shadowy being comes to him, and they talk about vibranium, and then he's like, I don't need vibranium. He tries to rip the Black Panther suit off, and it rips his skin off his face. And he wakes up, and Okoye, who he's married to in this version, is like, you want to tell me what's up?
Yeah.
What's going on? He's like, nope. We're fine. But essentially that, she's a little worried. She's worried about a bunch of things.
Oh, yeah.
But that, Shuri clearly wants a war. And, she's like, you either got to tell her no or yes. It's like, but she's going to do something.
Yeah.
And he's like, listen, there might be a war coming, but it's not her war. It's my war. Because I'm king.
Yes.
I'm like, and off he goes. Aurora, was asked to go because he doesn't really have any say. She's like, all right, I'll go do this. Aurora, Storm, and Killmonger went off to go find a sorcerer who could help them unravel a mystery that's going on, and we were revealed someone who seemingly was a sorcerer supreme in this world, but was this woman. So many different questions on who it could be.
Oh yeah, of
so
course.
Many theories out there. Turns out it's none of them.
This
person's been invented for this book, which is fine.
Yeah.
But, I think a lot of people were like, well, clearly it's this because we saw the runes. And I was right there with them. I'm like, okay, is it this? Is it that? I don't know. Everything could be different. No, their name's Inan. Inan.
Okay.
The God Killer.
Good name.
At times been called that.
Okay.
And she has powers and utilizes them to summon forth look at this big shark. Cool, right? that big shark will come into play later on.
Good. It should be.
For a quick second. But really it's just to show that they're I'm on your side, but I'm kind of more neutral or anything like that. And Aurora really responds to that. She's like, this is a good kind of chaos.
Yeah.
I'm here for this. Let's see what happens. And I'm like, of course, because this character does not have to be aligned with their morals to accomplish anything or cause yet another issue for T'Challa, because I feel like he's had nothing but that.
Yes.
I feel like T'Challa kind of needs a win right now.
It would be nice. Yeah, it's tough. And that's always been the case, or at least certainly for the last 10 years or more.
Yeah.
Where T'Challa has just been constantly just under a tire, just I just need to get my footing for just a minute.
Need to do this. But he's got a lot of strong women around him right now. And
yes.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Right? Killmonger is there.
Sure.
But, his sister is ready to go to war. He's married to Okoye. You got Aurora there. And then we enter in
new
Inan.
Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah. Who, Killmonger in this gets shot and is going to die. And she just fixes him, but it causes him a lot of pain.
Oh, okay.
And it's good, but here's the cost. But it's I don't know if they're just taking a different
I would just
viewpoint on the magic has a price.
Fine.
Which I kind of like.
Yeah.
I was like, they are paying the price.
Yeah.
Exactly. Inan eventually reveals her costume and then opens up a MCU-esque gateway.
Yep.
To somewhere else.
Yeah. The idea of there being original art or depictions of magic in the Marvel universe are over.
Over.
Those days are over.
Nope.
There is a model that you can use, that you can download. There's a PNG file you can just easily download.
Every time you say PNG file, I just want to yeet you out of the show.
Well, I'm not wrong, because the transparent background you can just slap in there, no problem. Or it can be a brush, I suppose.
Yeah.
Bink there. You got your Wong.
I am not saying that they didn't draw this. I am just saying that like it is like it looks very.
I'm saying they're not allowed to draw anything else. Is what
it's
I'm saying.
just it's this the hand circles.
Yep, hand circles
and that, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yep,
costume's cool though.
Yeah, and it's another universe, so it could be anything, but it should
Sure.
be, brand adjacent. Good thinking.
But but
it's good.
No, it's good,
fantastic.
And I'm looking forward to learning more about this character. Obviously, this is the first time we've ever seen a female Sorcerer Supreme, so it's not like it's like wow.
Outside of the ones we've seen before.
That's what I'm saying. It's not,
not the first time.
Not the first time.
Yes.
It's a different take, different
New
costume,
take. Boob window.
Yeah, or not. It's hard to tell.
It's hard to tell, actually. Yeah.
But I'm looking forward. It is, I think.
Yeah, new cover. Yeah, it's important.
I'm looking forward to learning more about this character and to see if she's a help or a hindrance.
I'm sure that she'll die. Interesting. I read Batman Long Halloween, the last Halloween, #3. Jeff Loeb, Mark Chiarello did the art on this one, and it's great. Fantastic successor. Well, a blend of Frank Miller and Tim Sale, like a really, really interesting art style.
Okay.
Seeing the Bullet logo on this is making me happy as well. Great story. It's continuing on. Batman is just fumbling in the dark because it's year 3 or 2 or whatever.
Sure.
They're trying to figure it out. Who's the new holiday killer? Who's pretending to be the holiday killer? Dent is missing. Gilda's involved. Robin is also hanging out and sneaking into Arkham and trying to talk to Calendar Man for seemingly no good reason whatsoever.
Wait, why did I think she died?
Right? But no, in fact, she did not. But yeah, it's if you liked Long Halloween, you might like this. If you liked Dark Victory, you'll probably like this.
Yeah.
It's an interesting idea to just do another sequel to Long Halloween. It still works. So yeah, I dug it. It's fine.
All right.
Yep.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It goes right on the back of the cover.
Yeah.
South and ComicPop.
I can't say it's great, but the art really helped. I would rather that Chiarello just did the whole series.
Okay. Now it's funny because this is like issue 3 of 10. It just seems long.
It's too long.
It didn't. I wouldn't normally say that because we're always like, hey, it could be a little bit
longer.
It's
decompressed.
But it's just so funny because it's like so many series now are like 5 issues.
Yep.
If you're a Black Label book, 3 issues.
3 to 8.
Yeah.
Is the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know. It just must sell well.
Well.
Or they planned it better.
Yeah.
But yeah. I also read Superman 20. Superman 20 from Josh Williamson and Dan Mora.
Okay.
It's great. Fun stuff. You ever been kind of like, Superman's boring, and I'm like, well, you should be reading the series because it's good stuff. Hopefully Josh doesn't leave this book because it's a really, really good, solid series. Doomsday's back. He tears up Metropolis. Superman is also infected with the kind of like this rage fueled infection that causes him to kind of like freak out and over he's filled with like energy and stuff. Lois is Superwoman. They're trying to obfuscate her identity because they don't want Lois. They don't want to draw the comparison between Lois Lane and Clark Kent and Superman. So she has a costume. She's flying around. People know that
she wears glasses though.
She does not.
Well, she's
Superwoman. That'd be funny. But yeah, she's doing her thing, being Superwoman. But this is the first issue, I think, where they kind of like establish there's no photos of Superwoman. Just we know she's there. We see her once in a while, but like I can't see her face. And it's because she's doing the thing that Superman does, where he blurs his face a little bit. Like, he moves fast enough when he knows there's
No, I was going to ask, does she have yellow gloves on, or is that just a weird color?
No, it's yellow gloves.
Interesting.
It's fingerprints.
Yeah, that's smart.
Exactly.
Wait, I guess does he not have them because he's Kryptonian?
Yeah. Well, no, he can like he probably like I don't know. They don't get into it, but it's good stuff.
Do the bees grab it?
Right? You talking about Swarm?
Yes.
You're referring to a short we released like 3 weeks ago?
Yes.
On a different channel?
I am.
Well, check it out. But yeah, Dan Moore drawing Doomsday is cool. There's a fun little like callback to the death of Superman, obviously, because it's Doomsday.
Yeah.
Doomsday's also been revealed to be the time trapper who comes from the future, and he's kind of like, I got a lot of prophecies / Chekhov's guns to hang up, and I want you to address them. Superman does. It's just standard Superman fare, high-flying action. A classic Superman villain has returned, and it's really cool. And he's just they have a fun fight. He's taken off the bored for a minute, but also there's this other element to Doomsday that's like a second Doomsday who is articulate and is, the reveal of a secret, other villain that they've had to deal with.
Right.
And Mora is
I like the idea of him being articulate because in my head he's like, he also has glasses.
Right, exactly. Yeah, Doomsday has glasses. No, Time
or
Traveler
a monocle.
Time Traveler just wears a robe. That's kind of it. But
okay.
Cool. It's cool. It's fun.
I'm
digging on it.
This cover.
Oh, it's
like
a great
the
cover.
Gentle, blur of the background to show that they're like. I like it.
I agree.
It's a really good hand too.
Yeah, it is a good hand.
It's a good hand.
Yeah, it's good stuff overall. I mean, like if you don't read Superman, you should, and if you do read Superman or you've fallen off, you should check it out. It's cool. There's also obviously like there's Metropolis stuff. There's Lex Luthor's new status quos. There's Mercy. There's Supercorp. It's a lot of fun stuff.
Okay.
And it's a good series. I'm digging it.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
I read Flash number 15 this week.
Yeah.
Written by Simon Spurrier, Cy Spurrier.
Yep.
With art by
Vasco Georgiev.
That's his name. I never remember his first name.
Yeah.
So this is like issue 2 of the new story that Cy's giving us. And I said it was a lot more superhero fare.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm feeling it in this one.
Yep.
Like I'm like, this is definitely feeling a little more like a Flash book. And I'm not necessarily upset, but I am missing some of the heavier like swings we were taking in the first couple of issues of the first story that Cy gave us.
Mm-hmm.
This is like, here he is, and there's like a thing going on, and what's like, we got to figure it out, and and then like Flash has decided that he's split himself in 2 basically because there's no more multiverses. So like now the potential for multiverses doesn't have anywhere to go. So like Pilgrim, his future son.
Oh yeah.
Well, his future version of his son.
Yes.
Helped him to like split himself in 2. So like Flash is on the Justice League, but also on a family vacation.
Oh, interesting.
So he has 2 different costumes, and there's a lot like it's a little more like I feel like I'm reading a Flash book.
Yes,
but I'm like but I'm still reading a Cy Spurrier book, so I think there might be something more.
I
don't know.
Usually,
right? But yeah, it's cute. Irie has figured this out, so she knows, and she's like, I'm gonna tell mom or whatever. And Flash is like, okay, it's like, don't tell him, don't tell the other version of me. We had to like blank out his memory so that like bad things wouldn't happen or what have you. So obviously there's gonna be a shoe drop there.
Of course,
they have this dog, and like the dog seems to be the crux of this like power component that they're having issues with. There's this crazy looking like green orc lady who showed up and like tried to kill one of them, and it's fine though. He's all right.
Oh, good.
It's all good. It's fine. Don't worry about
it.
But like, yeah, it's a little zany, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was not expecting zaniness, which I'm not upset by necessarily. I just wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
But I am wondering if people who had not enjoyed the first couple of issues of Cy Spurrier's first, like, issue 1, 2, 3, 4 of Cy's run are like, yeah, this is better. Like, I am wondering if this is more what they were looking for, especially with Georgiev's art.
Yeah.
Which has a much more of a energetic and colorful like look to it.
Yeah.
It's just a little more like heroic.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna I'll keep reading this for a little bit, but I inevitably might have to drop this because
it's too Flash for you.
Well, we'll see. I'm really like, I like Wally. Like Wally was always my Flash.
Yeah.
So like I'm happy to read about him.
Sure.
And I assume eventually we're gonna deal with Barry.
Undoubtedly.
Right? Like that.
Well, Barry's kind of off the table right now because he has no powers.
Yeah, but in the first issue we went and visited his retirement party.
Yeah.
And so I feel like
we're gonna set that up again. I mean, there's no other place for Barry to be referred to.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No,
I think
not
so.
true until somebody forgets.
Well, yeah, that's fair.
But there is something up with one of the Flash who's on vacation. Not really, they're on a mission. Powers. So Let's see what's going on.
Well,
with
he is split, so yeah.
But it's smart too. This is a smart way for them to be like, Flash is over here, but also doing this stuff in his own book.
That's great. Yeah, that no one has to ask. Like, well, wait a minute, he's doing a crazy thing over here.
So he's two different people.
Exactly. I read Detective Comics 1091. This is, of course, Tom Taylor with art by Mikkel Yannon. Batman has been given a crazy option to, like, there's this, like, Tom Taylor loves these stories where it's like, oh, he's rich, he's a 1%er, or they have options that we don't have. How about he's part of, like, he's been introduced to an idea of, like, being offered life extension. You do the special radical therapy and, you'll take years back onto your life, like just reduce, bringing you back to peak physical performance. And he's like, I could feel it. I could feel myself kind of like losing a step or two. And I'm trying to catch up. Meanwhile, there's this whole mystery of like orphaned, kids who would one day be Robins, probably, because these are like young boys who are living Gotham, who have no one in their lives, are being taken. And Batman needs to figure out why. And he's trying to do that. And so that's happening. And he elicits an opportunity from, first he shakes down Penguin for information. He's also, like stupidly, naively, like no, that's the other Batman book. So, he is trusting of this, like, this radical new therapy. But he asks Superman basically, like, yeah, you're going to outlive everybody. How do you deal with that? And, like, do I have a right to use this? Like, and Superman's basically, he says the right thing at the right time in the right way, which is a Tom Taylor staple for Superman. But basically he's like, look, more you, longer, like, you'll do more work. And, like, you'll do more good if you're on this earth longer. And you'll figure out a way to share it with everybody.
How do you know, though, that it's going to work?
Well, and how do you know it's not like a trick? Which, of course, it has to be. So, that, and that's the reveal.
I saw that episode of the
Batman
animated series. Oh, no, the animated series.
Oh, Eternal Youth?
Yeah, with Alfred.
Yeah, that's Eternal Youth, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's gonna become a tree person.
Yeah, well, Tom Taylor saw it too. There's no Poison Ivy reveal yet,
no,
but for now,
sure she's not.
I'm sure she's in it.
No,
but yeah, there's this. But there's a scary new villain who's stalking these poor kids and stuff. But the Detective feels like a main Batman book at this point right now.
I would be listen. I know we like critique writers for coming up with like new characters and new villains.
I know,
right? But like, listen, if you wrote a like Batman story about like Gotham essentially having an urban legend that isn't Batman, like a boogeyman. Like, that's kind of neat.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it actually is a boogeyman.
She's clearly wearing a suit.
Oh, I'm just saying in my version, it's.
Oh yeah, no, that'd be fun.
Yeah. And then I used to do that with Constantine.
Exactly. I also read Justice League Unlimited #1 from Dan Moore and Mark Waid.
I wanted to check this out, and I didn't get the opportunity to do that. But I was like, oh, man, Mark Waid found another way to work with Dan Moore.
Yep,
It's like, okay, you're not on the other book.
All right, you're off Batman Superman World's Finest. Well, then you're on Justice League Unlimited. And Moore is keeping it together. He's managing to do both Superman and Justice League.
Dang.
But yeah, this is a fun book. We get an entry-level character who's actually been around since the 40s, but, retcons and stuff. But Airwave is his name. But he's kind of like added to the Watchtower. The premise of the whole thing is just, it's just like Unlimited, the cartoon. Everybody's a leaguer. And so we've got...
Wasn't Airwave in the Absolute event
Yeah,
too?
Airwave was in Absolute as well. Yes. Yeah. That Mark Waid wanted to...
Obviously, because he's like, what my powers suck. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, and then he finds a way to be helpful in this one too. He's that Muppet I don't like from the Muppet movie with Jason Segel in it. The Walter Muppet.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like, I'm a Muppet too, and I can whistle. That sucks. Go away. I'm here for them, not you. But anyway, Airwave's fine. He's just, he's a ride-along character. Go like, Superman, whoa! And I'm like, yeah, I understand. I know who Superman is. I read his book. But it gives us an opportunity for Wade to like set up the whole premise, how the Justice League Watchtower works. Red Tornado's in charge of. He's the Jean character.
Yep, I know.
Yeah, and so they do, and the heroes go around.
Well, because Jean's having like headaches and stuff.
Yeah, he's
like,
busy.
Something's up.
Exactly, and Red Tornado hasn't have a body yet, so like just
he's just floating around.
Yeah, so make him the Jean, and so everyone's doing their thing, and they go and there's this dude almost dies. He's dying, and they're talking about like, we got to save the people. We got to, if he's dead, we can't focus on him because they just got to save more people.
Yeah.
Star Sapphire is like, but my ring, if there's love, then but it has to be love, like it has to be two souls joined. So this dude's calling out for his wife. So Airwave's like, I can use the phones, and he finds the woman that this dude loves and brings her to him, and then Star Sapphire uses her ring to like unify their souls and then heal him, and so he's fine. And it's like, that's nice. It sounds silly, and it is, but like it also
like
is.
You just, I was like, what?
Yeah, no, that's what Mark Waid believed in before November. But at this point, he's just kind of like, hey, love can heal you, and will make the world in future better. He doesn't believe that anymore, but we'll see that change as the book progresses. But
the team seems a little overpowered.
Well, that's the thing that like always didn't work for the Justice League Unlimited in the cartoon, like where it's like, why don't they just do that all the time? And it's
why wouldn't it always be the most powerful characters?
So you're always just like, I don't know. I'm excited for this premise because I love Justice League Unlimited. Yes. I love the idea, and I'm like, yeah, you should all work together. You should all be in communication. It makes perfect sense. But also, you would solve all the problems, and you can't, so it needs to fall apart. And so what forces the Justice League Unlimited to fall apart must be huge, so that's going to be sad. So it's just looming over everything that I read whenever I'm doing anything with this universe.
Sure. Make a space station and have all the heroes go up there and stay and live there together. And that's all fun and games. Mm-hmm. Make it an island and put a bunch of mutants on it. That's creepy.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, I know.
I definitely see the
Well, and
difference.
McDuffie was like, the whole point of it is about that. Like, McDuffie had the whole thing about like, there was a government versus the Justice League and their space laser and the, public trust and stuff like that. And so, it was part of an arc, the whole unification. It's like, yeah, Superman would have that idea. It makes perfect sense. But also, the last thing he would have expected is for humanity not to trust him. And so like, it made it into an amazing show. Mm-hmm. In this, it's like, oh, that'll be a sad ending to this series one day. But in the meantime, it's like, oh, it's pretty cool. But it's fun. Mora's art's fantastic, obviously, as usual. Pardon me. But yeah, it's a good book. But also, you feel the sword of Damocles leaning, like just hanging over it.
Okay.
But yeah,
okay.
I liked it quite a bit.
So I want to unlock my phone here. I want to talk about I'm happy to use my phone, and I don't know why I'm like demanding I'm going to do that instead of the thing you have up right now.
Yep.
I'm going to talk about Batman Santa Claus Silent Night Returns.
Yay.
Written by Jeff Parker with art by Lucas Hurtner.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Does that say Kettner?
It's a K.
Oh, it is a K.
I was just looking at the cover.
Stupid old
English. I had the cover to fall back on.
I had the credits page.
Yeah, you had the credits page, which had a very specific font. Yes.
Font choices. Yeah, if you read Batman Santa Claus Silent Night,
I missed it, but
this is like, let's do it.
Look how happy that reindeer is.
Let's do it. I mean, what did you be? You're in a Batman book.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know what the hell is happening in this book, but I got to tell you, I am here for it.
Oh, good.
This is such a great, like, solid, time-tested premise.
Yes.
The Justice League is kind of taken off the table, right? They go to save these people. There's like these crazy knights. They like mark people with their signs, and they're all like they trapped in like this area that's like foggy with towers, and like if you try to go a mile out this way, you end up right back where you were. And I'm like, perfect, got it.
Yep,
totally understand that. And when I say we got like our leaguers or our group here is we've got Mera and Nubia, and I think that's Queen Nubia there.
Yes.
Superman, John Stewart, Green Lantern, Batman,
and a Flash.
Well, and it's Irie.
Oh.
And Damian was there as well. They were responding to this. And when things started to seem a little dangerous, Batman was like, Irie, get Damian out of here. Both of you go and try to get help. Irie gets caught by something, and she uses her like flash speed to like whirlwind him out. Jumps into the bat plane and he takes off, right? And I love this because like this book does something that I know other books have done, but I don't read a lot of books with Damian in it. And so like, in my head, Damian is just like this little miniature like pile of rage who's kind of a dick sometimes, right? And this book's like, he's a kid.
Yes.
Because we're dealing with Santa Claus. And so like he needs help. And so like he's like, I felt drained when I left, and you'll see like they have like his cloak, like so like, oh, maybe there's something going on there, right? I don't know. So when he gets in the bat plane, there's this like great like single image of him asleep. Like he's telling he goes to Zatanna for help because like where else you gonna go?
Right.
And like he's just like passed out in the plane, and like he just looks like such a little kid. And I don't know. I think it's really cute. I don't know. I'm like, yay! Look at him doing his thing. I have no idea what this panel is, but I know I saw it. But like also like he's like, I don't know what to do, and I have to go back and I have to help him. And like Zatanna gives him like cocoa and a new cape, and it's very sweet. Like oh, here it is. It's a tiny. Look at him.
Aw.
Look, he's like drooling. Is he sleeping? He's just really asleep. But that's fine because while Damien's talking about this, he's sitting near a Christmas tree. So obviously Santa hears all this and he shows up and he looks great.
Yep. Klaus! Santa, yes! Someone got our Penguins yes reference.
Good call, Zatanna. But Santa starts to explain some stuff, and there's a whole bunch of lore going on in here. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole with you all right now. I will say there is a moment in this, because this is called Silent Night Strikes Again.
Yeah.
In which Damien and Santa do the pose.
Yes, the Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight pose. I like clapped my hands when this happened. I'm like, thank you. Yes, I'm here for this.
That's awesome.
This is what I'm looking for. Yeah, I am very excited for this book. I can't wait to see what's next. There is something very sweet about the idea of like, while Zatanna is working on XYZ, Gotham is having a crisis essentially. Yes. Damien's like, I guess like, my father's villains just know when he's away. And so Santa's like, I'll go with you and we'll go fight crime in Gotham. Essentially. I'm like, great. Yes.
That sounds great.
Yes. I can't wait. I cannot wait.
I love it.
Please write more.
Please do more. That's my note. I'm the only one who read Amazing Spider-Man 62 by Joe Kelly with art by Ed McGuinness.
I'm a failure.
Yeah, no, you're fine. What's the premise of this book?
That Spider-Man has to be Doom's emissary because he refuses to keep the bargain that will keep this realm safe.
Yep, from Cyttorak and his family.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So that's what happens in this too, and that's the book. So yeah.
See, now I wish I read it because I feel like probably more happened in it.
There's a lot more of like Doctor Strange talking to him. Black Cat is also there.
Excuse me. You don't rub your face and look exasperated when you talk about Doctor Strange talking at all.
It's just like super. Like, okay, Spider-Man and Black Cat break into the Sanctum because they don't have access to it, and they need books. And there's a sequence of Spider-Man training and doing his spells, and he's trying to keep a date with some character I don't regard, and like Aunt May's upset because Peter keeps breaking dates because Joe Kelly hasn't read a Spider-Man book in 35 years, and it's just like, okay, whatever. I mean, it's fine. It's totally fine. There's a sequence where like he fights like one of the Cyttorak characters. Kelly's trying to make all the different members of the family have personalities and stuff. Like, I give a shit, and one of them is like I'm not sure I even understand like the death aspect. Like, does he have to die? I know he has to die, but like if he wins, like he wins, he fights this guy and he wins, but like still dies. And I'm like, oh, really? I thought it was like that you have to, I don't know. It's the point is, so he's got the rods. We do a really big show of the rods and how like Phil Coulson, who is death right now, appears before him. And he's like, hey, oh, you got the rod or the reeds. I don't remember the rods.
The reeds. The reeds.
So he's like, yeah, I got the reeds. And it's just like, oh, I had to count in the reeds. He's going to use one of those reeds. He's not going to have enough reeds. Okay. All right. There's a sequence where like the last page reveal is that like another member of the Cyttorak family, like, doesn't regard Peter's date breaking problems, because, Peter Parker's here and Spider-Man's down here. And, but like he saw, there's one of the Cyttorak characters is like a little girl who rides a tricycle and she's a demon. So it's like a combination of the Saw puppet and like a creepy little girl from The Shining, and she's like, oh, that's like the last page reveal of this issue was like, oh no, he's got to fight a scary girl doll.
I love when you have to read books like this because they're just not for you.
No, but like
this is just not.
But like Peter isn't reacting like it either. Like he's like, woohoo, and I'm like, no. Peter should hate this.
I am here for it. I can't wait to read this.
Yeah, I think you'll.
I can't wait to read this.
Here's some pluses. Doctor Strange, Black Cat, and I guess any of the supporting characters that aren't Aunt May are all consistent and in character. So is Peter to some extent.
I feel like
the man boy Peter that he has become is also very consistent. Like he's an idiot loser.
I'm sorry.
And he also does the spells.
I'm sorry that the Peter and Spider-Man are not where you want them to be, and they have to deal with magic.
I don't mind the magic necessarily. I just wish
I
just wish it were like more clever. Like instead of, like, okay, I'm not here to pitch, but like, does Peter need to become a miniature Doctor Strange, or could Peter like reluctantly or desperately try and like use magic? Like, it's fine.
Maybe
it's fine.
Isn't it possible? Hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
I know you don't think this is probably what's going to happen, but based on some of Kelly's other works, is it not possible that since this is only the second issue of this story, that Joe is going to use death as a teacher for Peter?
Yeah. Oh no, that's Peter's death. The whole book is about it because the book's called The 8 Deaths of Spider-Man.
Right.
So like,
but like that could just be like we're just watching that and it's a way to sell things.
Yeah.
But
no, we're selling a Marvel Legends figure. Like if Joe Kelly written this 20 years ago, it would be in a Spider-Man costume, and it would be much more about like Peter's struggle. But it's not. So it's got all this shit in it. And it's got to be goofy because Ed McGuinness can't draw anything other than goofy shit.
I didn't think it was that goofy last time.
It's very goofy.
Okay, I didn't read this issue.
Look, the way Spider-Man defeats the Cyttorak character is great.
Okay,
and consistent with Peter's intelligence and Doctor Strange's magic. I'm like, yep, that was fun. Like I appreciate. It's not for me. B, it's better than what was coming out before. But C, like this was not the way to win hearts and engender like old lapsed readers.
Okay,
whatever. It's fine. It's fine. It's very like B. It's a B+ of a book.
Okay,
but like,
yeah,
it's fine.
Okay,
like there's and Black Cat's in it too for a minute.
Okay. Sorry.
It's fine. It can be whatever. I mean, I feel bad that like Doctor Strange is relegated to being a ghost in a Spider-Man book.
It's okay. I'd rather he was that than he didn't have a good ruining story. Him.
Yeah, it'd be better than if he were Spider-Man. So what else we got?
Well, I think the last book I read for this week that I want to talk about is Absolute Wonder Woman #2. Did
Hooray!
you read that as well?
Of course I read this. Yeah.
I just want to make sure it's written by Kelly Thompson with art by Hayden Sherman. And man, this book looks amazing.
Yes.
And this story is really great. But this book looks amazing.
Yes.
Like it's very not traditional,
no,
but looks spectacular and really fits this story.
Absolutely.
Like it makes it feel like a modern day myth.
Yeah. And it's interesting because this feels like another universe, but like in a great way. Like it feels like a timeless Elseworlds book. Also, I want to applaud. I didn't really get it much in the first issue.
Okay.
But I was very excited by Hayden Sherman's designs for Diana's face that we saw from San Diego Comic-Con and the art that was revealed for that.
Yeah.
We get more of it in this.
Oh, yeah.
And just like the very deliberate design of Diana, where it's like, for the most part, if you're drawing Wonder Woman in the main DC universe, she's going to be stock beautiful woman with like hair that either is like an homage to George Perez or not.
Yep.
But that's it. Like Diana doesn't have like a distinct face. But it's the nose.
Yeah.
But like it's so good.
Yeah. No,
and so distinct, but also consistent.
Yeah.
That I was like,
and I think it's beautiful.
It is beautiful. No, I'm so on board.
Yeah.
And I loved it. But I was like, I took notice of the fact that like it was very consistent.
Oh, I noticed it in the last one, but it is more obvious here.
It's more obvious.
It is more obvious in this issue for sure. This issue though is setting up the seeming
like what this book is about.
Well, yeah, and like what the current threat is. It's like, hey, we have a current threat. We're going to deal with that. But also, Thompson has to establish like what is and is not within her mythos.
Yes.
Right. And we did a lot of lifting in the first issue.
Mm-hmm.
But this one's also like, hey, there are certain things we know as like comic book fans about Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And I like, she wants to make sure that some of these things are kept and some of these are different and some of these things are not going to be here anymore. But I love the fact that it's like, we need to deal with the Steve Trevor in the room.
Absolutely.
And it's handled flawlessly.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's a great pitch. It's a great interpretation. It is not just consistent, but it's like it pays homage to what it was while being fresh, new, and exciting.
Yep.
And not like in a way where they're like, it's fresh and new. He's riding a skateboard in this.
Right.
It's just really solid.
Yeah, no, it's done exceptionally well. Like, this book is a totally different take on Diana, but it's not like going out of its way to make things different.
Like, oh, I gotta,
I gotta like.
I have all the things that make Diana who she is.
Yes.
And then I go like, okay, but like this, but this.
Yeah. Or like, the obvious thing would be to go the way that normally goes, but I'm gonna go.
So I'm making a left.
Yeah, which won't make any sense. Now this is like, it all flows perfectly. But yeah, Steve being like, Diana meets him on
hell.
Earth. No, on Earth.
Oh yes, when she
and like, I'm like, oh, that's Steve Trevor, and she knows him, and I'm like okay.
Oh.
But how, like,
how do
typical Steve Trevor is he washes up
on the shores of
Themyscira, where like they don't want him there and get out. But in here, he washes up on the Wild Isle, presumably, we don't know, gets pulled under by a Hydra. I love this. It's very Lord of the Rings moment.
It's Lord of the Rings. It's like Little Mermaid. Like
yes. Oh, it is. It is very Little Mermaid too, where she's like staring at him like, wow.
Well, she like goes into the water, like rescues him. Like, you don't know this place like I do. Like, it's just so cute and fun and mythological.
And like she like touches, like as though she's like, oh, he's so pretty.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and also the colorist is having some fun as well with this, because like there are at least two different blushing moments for both characters.
Oh yeah.
Where they're like, ooh.
Yeah. But I love when like typically Diana's mom is not super thrilled at all.
But she's
Steve.
like,
but Cersei's like,
he's pretty, why not?
She's looking at it and she's like, I love when like she's sitting there with Diana and Diana's like, like, oh, like, why do you think he's here? Is it a test or a trap? And she's like, or
a gift.
Yeah.
And Cersei's face changes where she's like,
yeah.
Like, okay.
I see where this is going. Yeah, that blush.
So great.
She's like,
yeah, he does the same thing when she like proves her when she stands up to his like commanding officer, which is great.
Yeah, it's really sweet. The whole thing is very sweet. But yeah, the idea that like when they're talking about their height, and like Steve's like, I'm tall.
Right, I'm tall. And you're tall.
She's like, well,
and we don't have a lot of tall women.
Like, can you tell me more about your world that doesn't have to do with
me being tall?
How tall everybody is or not?
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously, like, we're getting like a lot of homages here. I do like this as sort of almost an homage to, for me at least, the Wonder Woman movie. Like, it makes me think of that. She's in a war room.
The movie does a great job of like distilling a lot of
like, but like this secret, like that panel in particular makes me think of that moment where like she's in the war room and no one like will listen to her.
Yeah.
And this also reminded me a little bit of her height. Made me think of Darwin Cook.
Yes, of New Frontier.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But yeah, that like instead of like the general being like obstinate,
right? Just
and, like
he is, but also he's like.
Him, but then as soon as like she reveals like she knows what she's talking about, he's like,
all right,
we gotta do this, we gotta do that. Right. All right, let's move on.
I'm not an idiot. Like these are demons flying out of the friggin' upside down pyramid over the ocean. Like I'll defer to the experts on this one.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Where it's like they don't immediately embrace her,
but they also don't like they don't make her an enemy.
Yeah,
they're not like fire on her too. Like
this guy doesn't have like a secret agenda where he's just like
I hate women or I hate her
or like I don't trust her because like she's magic too. Ooh.
Yeah. No, none of that.
But we also get the origin for Pegasus, that this is the Pegasus.
The Pegasus.
And
that's really cool.
That's why
I love it's like it's a Pegasus and you named it Pegasus.
She's like, no.
No, his name's Pegasus because
this is the Pegasus of myth and legend. I'm like, cool. Yeah, and then it's like, oh, here we go. Crazy monster.
Cthulhu comes out of the ocean.
It's not Cthulhu.
No, it's like Crab Cthulhu.
It's Tetracide.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I love it because she's like, it'll probably be this or that. She's like in her head.
Yeah, and it's not.
And they're like,
she's like, oh, you're all dead.
Oh no, this is way worse.
This is way worse. You need to evacuate everything that's ever existed because it's not going to work well.
Do you have like another planet or something maybe you could go to?
Yeah.
I don't know. Just a great issue. Really love Sherman playing with panel composition, panel size, panel breakdown.
Yes.
Like he is not afraid to do like, here's a grid, here are heroes like standard panels, and then also do like, here's some fun things. Like I'm gonna literally make a panel the Wonder Woman W. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
So
yeah.
Oh, they, excuse me.
No, it's all right.
But yeah, that they
they're just not afraid.
Yeah, but like they play with circles and they play with like the angles and all that and the layering of the panels, and it adds something to it. It's not just done for no reason.
Because
I can do this, so therefore I should. No, it adds something to it. And I think for me, it's their style combined with the panels that make it feel, or the panel shapes that make it feel so like myth.
Yeah.
And it makes me think of like
a book.
Pottery.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I guess that's true.
Like there is like this pottery element that like my brain goes to immediately.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it does.
It's great.
But yeah, they're knocking it out of the park. Kelly is knocking it out of the park. I freaking love this book. This is, again, for me, this is my favorite one. But it is also the one that's magically based. So it's kind of like, we all knew that was going to happen.
Yeah. It's crushing it. Yeah. Doing a great job. Yeah. I'm excited. So what's your book of the week?
I mean, I want it to be Tin Can Society because I love that book. And it's like, I feel like it's a little bit of an underdog, but it's Absolute Wonder Woman.
Yep, I also give it to Absolute Wonder Woman. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, this is just such a great book. And again, it's fun for me when a book comes along that I'm like, wow, this is like entirely my alley.
Yep.
I mean, it's not really a challenge then to like be like, all right, I'm gonna find something that like I like about it. But like, no, like it's just all there.
Yeah.
The art, the writing, the story, the changes, the Cersei.
Yeah, it's just doing something really special.
Freaking love Cersei.
Great stuff. Oh yeah, absolutely. Jumping into, is it recommendations or is it super chat? Super
chats.
All right. So Gar says, new job means I can't catch Off the Rack alive anymore. So see you on the repeat. I really loved Grommets this week, but Hornsby and Halo is my best of the week.
Yeah.
Tomasi remains my favorite writer.
Nice.
Yeah,
very nice.
Tomasi does a really great job.
Very, very nice.
Thank you. King of New York, ComicPop woo to you as well. Picked up a lot of books last week, but I have been too busy to read them. Have you guys finished Agatha or Penguin? Sending love your way. Nope. Haven't even started any of them. So
no, we watched.
Oh, we watched the first episode of Agatha. That's right.
Yeah.
No. But thank you. Yeah. No, we haven't checked those out. I hear Creature Commandos is fantastic, which, by the way, just, if we're keeping score here, and when I say score, I don't mean score against anybody, more just like how the DC movies under Gunn have been going.
Yeah.
There's the Superman documentary, which apparently is like a, 90% or something like that on Rotten Tomatoes. The Penguin series, which again, 90 plus on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Creature Commandos, over 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, it's just
over 9,000.
Win. And I'm like, I'm so glad. I hope that translates to sales somehow.
Right.
But yeah, Jamzilla, after watching the Spawn back issues episode, I went to my local comic book store, picked up the collection of the first 50 issues and read it back to back, which ended up being a huge mistake. Spawn was tough. I warned you in that episode. I told you, don't do that. I said in the episode, I'm like, I read them all, and you can't do that because it's really not. It's not just badly written. Like it's complicated. Like it's hard. It's like listening to like a 6-year-old tell you a story from school for like 3 hours. Hulkzilla says, just wanted to thank you guys. I don't follow comic news often, so I would have missed on Absolute Wonder Woman if it weren't for you two. Best wishes. That's great. I'm glad to hear it, man.
Thank you.
And if you like Absolute Wonder Woman, you may want to check out my chat with Kelly Thompson about Absolute Wonder Woman after the first issue debuted here on this channel. Go check it out. John Libra says, after listening to DJ talk about Professor Pig, do you have any recommendation stories with him featured? Thanks. Happy holidays. No, I know that DJ loves Professor Pig. I think Professor Pig's a fun design, but I've never read anything that I particularly cared about with Professor Pig. So it's not, I would definitely be like lying if I said that I had a favorite story of theirs. I don't care about that character, but I don't. I'm sorry. Tom Waiting. I'm recently discovered Tom Hardy is secretly featured in the last 2 Venom soundtracks, rapping under the name Frankie Pulitzer. He's not bad. Well, that's nice. Good for him, man. That's funny.
That is funny.
Denial reading the TMNT Donatello focused issue, and does anyone else feel the status is just an excuse to bringing in bizarre weirdo misfit archetypes that Jason Aaron loves to put in his team books? If that's your interpretation, sure. I just dig it. I'm like, this is fine. I hope it's good. I hope it continues to be great. Juan Ferreira's art's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah.
And, I'm on board. I think it's gonna be great. Kylie90 or Kylie F90 says nothing ComicPop makes has ever been disposable. Sal, thanks. Love being a Monday, Wednesday, or some Fridays warrior.
Oh, very
much,
nice.
Kyle. Really appreciate it, Kyle. Matt Fisher, what's up, B-Mock and B-Walks? I wasn't sure what that was, so I was like, B-Walk? But no, that's,
Yeah, I know what that is.
Who's excited for a Schumacher cut of my favorite Batman movie? Thanks for my Monday dose of being a nerd, said in Homer's voice, nerd. Who has a cooler car, Val or George? Oh, man, I don't know, man. It's tough to say. I think George. Gotta give it to George.
Yeah.
My boy George. But yes, man, I hope that we get that Schumacher cut because I would like to see those deleted scenes. Hey, you with the face. It would be funnier if Doom was a Dazzler stand. Also a Dazzler World Tour and no Snow crossover with the new game coming out. Come on, Marvel.
That's interesting. But I think Jason Liu had something to do with Lila Cheney or had like a I can't remember. There's a connection there.
Yeah.
My brain's too tired to come up with that. But I agree, especially with Rivals coming out this week.
Yeah.
Just feels like it's right there.
I know. Chris Fit 138. I heard anything about Batman Dark Patterns. I'm trying not to get myself too excited. I've not heard anything.
No.
Matt Fisher returns to say, hi, after reading the comments, I'd like to clarify that I meant zero disrespect
you're
for B-Walk.
fine.
No. I just didn't know what the hell you were saying. I was just like, I was, because I'm not supposed to be reading those. I'm supposed to be paying attention to the conversation. I have tremendous respect for the entire ComicPop crew. Can we just chalk that up to something that sounded great in my head and landed for... No. That was fine. It was funny. It totally was great.
I don't know what happened in the chat.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know what happened in the chat.
No, we did not take offense to that. I definitely did not take offense to that. You're totally
I
fine.
thought B-Walk might have it was a stand-in for something because I saw the Val and Joy. I'm like, I don't know what the hell's happening. I don't know who you're talking about. I'm trying to put them all together, but
I knew exactly what you meant.
I know.
You were totally okay.
But thank you, Matt, for your generosity, man. I really appreciate it.
I don't take offense.
Revolutionary Dragon. People have issues with Ultimate Black Panther because nobody understands where the book is going and feels like we are getting little information.
I do feel like there is like a slow
burn.
Like we're peeling away layers pretty slowly. But to me, it feels more like a pressure pot.
Mm-hmm.
So like I feel like there's going to be a big explosion.
Yeah.
Chocobo
Kid. Are you ready? It's December, Tiff. Marvel Rivals is a few days away.
That's
Excited
right.
and thoughts?
My thoughts are I'm looking forward to it. I'm wondering how much they will have changed, and I can't wait for brand new players to just completely destroy me.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to happen.
And if you want to check out Tiffany's streams of all of Marvel Rivals, you can go to youtube.com @ComicPop Plays or watch her play video games on twitch.tv/ComicPop. It also simultaneously streams on both. So if you're a YouTube viewer like you are here, you can just subscribe to youtube.com @ComicPop Plays. All links for everything are in the description below every video we make, including this one. So if you want to, you don't want to type or anything when you're done with this, you want to go like, oh, I want to check out those gaming streams. Just go to the description and click the one that says games or
Exactly.
Club Remix says, what are your favorite tropes? I love when former evil characters think no matter how many people they save, it won't make up for the piles of bodies. I don't know. I like when a hero is pushed beyond the limits.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love a good torn Spider-Man's suit fight where he's just like, it's over, and then he's like, no, for Mary Jane, and then finds a way to rally.
Yeah, that's fair.
Although you'll find there's an episode of Back Issues coming out in the next 2 weeks where a character who is supposed to be super powerful needs to rally just a little bit. He does it 48 times in the entire 3-issue run of this story, and I'm like, dude, you can't rally in the first issue and then rally 14 more times throughout the next 2 issues. You need to rally 3 times at maximum.
I think my favorite trope just in general is something similar to what you just said, like the rallying thing, but it's like when a character or team is brought to their it's like the darkest hour.
Yeah.
Right before they succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Where you as if they can convince you that it is that.
Yes.
That's my favorite.
It's a hat trick, really.
Yeah. It gets me almost every time.
Exactly.
Unless it's too I'm like, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Curtis Donaldson, thank you very much. Says, hey, ComicPop, I'm about to finish my first semester of law school, and your channels have been a fantastic distraction when I needed it. Thanks.
Yay!
Glad to do it, man. Thank you so much.
Objection.
And, yeah, overruled. Thank you very much, and good luck to you. Alexandra Desbens Brassard.
Brassard.
Hi, Silent Tiffany. Love the shows, all of them. I'm very excited for the Venom Sinner Take All review you teased 2 years ago. Still happening? Yeah, probably. I forgot. So I'll have to look that up.
I'm going to guess that it's Alexandre
Desbens
Brassard.
Okay.
That's a guess.
Well, let us know.
That's a guess.
You don't have to do it in the super chat. But
Not
thank
at
you
all.
very much. Yeah, I'll have to look that up. Sinner Take All. That sounds right. I'll look that up. Dex Baker, I've been reading some of my Black Friday haul during the stream. Have any of you read I Heart Skull Crusher? Tiffany might like it.
I have not.
No.
I have not. No. But I'll check it out.
Josh Rowland, happy belated Thanksgiving. I was very excited to read Amazing Spider-Man after Wells, but I still don't like the bi-weekly release. Ultimate Spider-Man does so much as a monthly. I agree. I think monthly needs to be the way.
I think that's why I didn't realize it was coming out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Makes me feel better.
Yeah, no, we need to get back to monthlies.
Hoaxilla has just put in there that it was like Aragorn and Théoden. 100% I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, now for Wrath, now for Ruin, and
the
Red Dog. Yes.
Yeah,
that is the one where I'm thinking of. Where I'm like,
so awesome.
I know this is a trope.
Yeah, I know.
I'm on board. Let's go.
I'm here for that.
I am getting on a horse with you.
Club Remix. What comic book movie do you think deserves a remake? I say League of Extraordinary Gentlemen because there's no way it could be worse than the original piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Tank Girl needs a revival. I think I would love to see a Tank Girl.
Okay. A remake. Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Ghost Rider.
Yeah, we need a solid, straight up, real ass Ghost Rider. Yeah, that'd be great.
I want it to be scarier.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I know they won't, but
no. Matt Fisher, will Jamie Foxx be 90 when Spawn is made? Spawn will not be made.
He'll be old man Spawn.
Yeah, they will not make it. There's no way. Matt 302, my fiance and I just bought our first home. Congratulations to you guys.
Oh my gosh, congrats.
Thank you for keeping me updated with everything. As always, haven't gotten a chance to read everything this week. Not yet, at least.
Hey, congrats on the new home, though.
Yeah, you got a lot to do. Congratulations. Gilly Dude, hi, I started reading the original Spider-Man run. Well, enjoy it. I think you're really going to like a lot of stuff. You're going to find that it gets better, and then you're going to find a jumping off point. But keep reading and enjoy it. Just jump in and dwell in it, you know. And if there's like references to Web of Spider-Man, Spectacular, go out and read those too, because they're really, really, really good stuff. There's gold in them in our hills. But yeah, so let's jump into some recommendations for books that are coming out this week that we think you should check out. Batman 155, Absolute Superman #2, Ultimates #7. What's it called? Wolverine #4. I can't believe Wolverine #4 is already coming out, because I feel like I just reviewed that book like the other day.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, Wolverine #4. Birds of Prey #16. I don't want to give this one away. I'll let you do that one. But sure. I'm going to check out all new Venom #1. I don't know anything. I didn't read Venom more. I have no idea what's going on with Venom. But he's got a gold symbiote logo on his chest, so I'll have to see how that goes.
Are you going to be reading Two-Face?
I don't know. I don't like villain books. Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Well, I just know you don't like. I know you're not a huge fan of villain books, like. But sometimes you'll be like, "Yeah, why not?"
Yeah, that's true.
You'll give it a shot, but like, I know it's not always what you're looking for, because it's like you're reading a book about a villain, so it's like you have to find a way for them to be a hero.
Yes, of at least their own story.
Right. So that may not be something that you're looking for necessarily.
Yeah.
Wow. I haven't heard the name Snot Girl in forever.
Yes, I heard rumors that book was coming back.
Wow. I didn't read much of it, but I'm just like,
read a little bit of it.
I did, but wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty fun. Okay, I'm just gonna call out a couple of things. They may not be things I'm picking up, but it's more or less I want you all to know
like honorable mentions.
Yeah, honorable mentions, or just things where it's like some people like this type of story. But DC and Marvel are gonna be putting out their some holiday issues. DC's will be an 80 pager, about $10. It's called DC's Batman Smells Robin Laid an Egg. I can't believe it's taken us this long to get this title.
Really. Yeah.
But it's got a cavalcade of writers within there, a bunch of different artists. They're little shorts. But like Francesco Francavilla, Anthony Marquez have art in there, and stories from like Marv Wolfman and James Reed, and so on and so forth. So it's just themed to that time period. Looks like Dead Man's mentioned in here. It's written by Marv Wolfman, so
awesome.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But simultaneously, Marvel also will have Marvel Holiday Tales to Astonish #1.
That's fun.
It's a 40-pager coming in at about $6. Also with a couple, or at least 3 different writers: Daniel Kibblesmith, Jean Lewin Young, and Jerry Duggan. 4 different artists. Some artists are going to be in here as well. So if you're looking for a holiday winter fix, check that out. Looks like they're going to have a Hanukkah one with Kitty Pryde, Fantastic Force Holiday Party. I wonder if these are these like a
Right,
no.
is this a
No, I don't think it can be because Jean Lewin Young.
No,
okay.
That's
all
cool.
right, fun. I might have to check these both out, although $10 is a little
expensive. A little steep.
Batman Santa Claus Silent Night Returns #2 is coming out this week.
I know.
I'm like, are we bracing down the holidays season in order to try to get this out?
I think so.
I don't know. I don't know how many more issues there are.
Oh my God, 5?
Yeah, 5 issues. I'm here for it.
Sweet.
I'm here for it. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see how this turns out. I really can't. I also want to say there's a random DC Horror Presents #2 is coming out.
Oh,
it's 2 of 4.
I remember that first issue coming out not too long ago.
Right, but I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's December.
But we're not. It's time for horror anytime.
Yep.
X-Force #6.
Yes, which we are both reading.
We're definitely both reading, but you always let me have this one. Thank you so much. Jeff Thorne, writer on this, art by Jim Toe, which I believe is different artists
from the previous issue. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder how that's gonna go. Is that from now on? Is this a fill-in? I don't know.
Well, we can always just click next and see if they're on it.
No, they have to have yes.
Jim Toe is at least doing the next 2 issues.
Oh wow.
But yeah, that'll be exciting. That's and by the way, I'm seeing good stuff being said about X-Force on social media at the very least, where they're like, hey, X-Force is like a good book, and it's one of the best X-Men books coming out. And I've completely fallen off on Uncanny. Like I don't read X-Men anymore. Like X-Men's just off my radar. Those are done.
Wow.
Friend of the channel, Jeff Thorne. That's right.
That's correct.
Big fan.
Also, like there's other like freaking Image has something coming out called like Dread the Halls. A Top Cow also has a holiday special.
Oh my God.
Coming out this week. I also want to shout out a book by Dark Horse called Christmas 365.
Yep. Christmas 365, which is a book that takes its cues from a title of a YouTube video that we made many years ago.
But what I actually wanted to give a shout out to is the art of Something Is Killing the Children. The companion #1 is coming out. It's an oversized issue featuring a curated collection of the most iconic covers from Something Is Killing the Children. So if you're someone who really enjoys looking at covers, we've seen a couple of companies putting out these cover issues where it's just covers in there. So if you see that and you're someone who likes looking at the covers and want them all in one place, you can pick that up as well this week.
Yeah, I should point out, by the way, when I say the X-Men books, I also like Storm.
Yes.
So, yeah, Storm and X-Force. But yeah, we want to thank you all so much for hanging out with us. Oh yeah,
right now. Easily.
Yeah, definitely.
Easily.
Right. Matt Fisher also returns to say, what's more annoying, Batman landing on the moon or Batman plus Riddler equals machete? Probably that one. I liked, but I did not complain about Batman landing on the moon or from the moon, falling from the moon back on Earth. I had no problem with that. It's silly, but then everything is. But I want to thank our super chatters for sponsoring today's show, and so much. Thank you so much for your generosity and for keeping the lights on. Thank you to our chat for being here on Monday, being Monday Marauders here on ComicPop Returns. We really appreciate you guys being. I'm trying it out. We'll see what happens. But we want to thank you so much for being here and for being respectful to each other and to us in the chat. And we want to thank everybody for just watching, liking, subscribing, and clicking the bell for notifications. And if you want more, Tiffany streams on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, typically around, well, it doesn't matter what time, but make sure to subscribe on ComicPop Plays on both Twitch and YouTube. And there's more. Back issues, of course, will be out on Wednesday. That is usually there's some kind of early access on patreon.com/ComicPop. And yeah, I think that's it. Oh, Terminator number 3 drops on December 11th. So if you hadn't already pre-ordered the book and you're just interested in picking up the book, it will be available in your comic book stores on December 11th. So go out and pick that up.
Woo!
I wrote a backup to it. You'll get the next 2 pages of my 10-page backup. Let Dynamite know that you enjoy it and that you want more from me, and hopefully they will oblige. But otherwise, I got my name on a Terminator book. That's all I'm happy about.
Love it.
So thank you all for being here. Thank you to Tiffany for co-hosting the show. And we'll see you guys next time with another episode of Off the Rack. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
So long, everybody. Bye, everybody.
Bye.